Welcome to week 2 of the Throwdown. This week's workout is 3 rounds for time, 15 deadlifts, 15 chest to bar pull-ups. Immediately into 3 rounds for time, 6 clean and jerks, 6 muscle ups. The weight for this workout is 225 for the men, 165 for the females. So you do your 3 rounds of that first workout. Immediately after that, 3 rounds for time of the second workout. In this video, Travis Mayer and Alye Deroma are gonna demo the workout. Me and Brandon are gonna provide some commentary about their execution. If you want tips and strategy for this same workout, we also have a video for that on our YouTube channel.
3, 2, 1, go!
All right, starting out with some deads. I think one thing we've been working on a lot with Trav is figuring out how to deadlift fast while maintaining straight arms and not having any of the bounce, no rep type things that people call out. It's really difficult to go through an eccentric and not have the bar bounce off the ground pretty quickly, but I feel like watching him in this video looks pretty good, and you can see the speed of rep of him versus Alye on the left when he was just doing that first set. So that's definitely something people could work on, is thinking about speed per rep when you're doing deads. Butterfly chest to bar pull-up, that's kind of speed that you're gonna go at relative to your technique. Trav finishes round 1 at 41 seconds. I think after watching this, he might have went out a little bit fast, but he's pretty good at just like moderating his pace. I was out of town when he did this, and he
And the shirt's off.
Yeah, now he's serious, taking the shirt off for a little break. He said that he wasn't really like fired up to do this session. We've been in a pretty aggressive training block getting prepped for Rogue, and this was a really tough training week. And a lot of people were out of town, so he might have been a little bit less intense than normal, but I think the execution will still give people a perspective of how fit he is and a good model for pacing. So he's finishing his second round of chest to bars. First round was 41 seconds. I counted time to complete round when he gets back to the barbell, so this second round took about a minute. So he's 20 seconds off his first round pace. The way this workout's constructed, this is kind of based off of the open workout that had the mandated rest between, but instead of having that mandated rest between, we just have basically 2 separate workouts. Lower body pulling, upper body pulling, and then paired into a heavier, more complex version of both of those 2 movements. So it's like pre-fatigue the energy systems, pre-fatigue all the movements, and then get into a tough workout afterwards. That's definitely a tough thing to do. So people say like, oh, it's only the second part of the workout that matters, but that's not really the case, because if you go too slow in the first portion, you're basically eating into the time that you need to rest between lifts or rest between muscle ups if muscle ups aren't good for you. So these are the types of things that I think athletes just need to practice in the sport to get comfortable with different styles of tests, knowing like, okay, what's my fatigue gonna feel like? Do I have to go out hot and then start to slow down? Do I have to go out paced? What's the strategy here? I think Travis just has good built-in fatigue recovery mechanism, so he just kind of knows what's coming in the workout, when to break. He didn't really have a plan for when he was going to break his deads or his chest to bars, but he breaks them up, finishes this first portion in 2:59. So that means his 3 rounds were 41 seconds, 1 minute, which was 20 seconds off his first round pace, and then 1:15, which is 34 seconds off his first pace, or about 14 seconds off his last round. So, you know, for somebody, you can build a model for yourself. Maybe you want to go like minute 30 rounds, so you can put some breaks in there. Then he does a 23-second transition-ish to start his clean and jerks. And then one thing I found really interesting when you watch Travis go here is he's kind of like a metronome with this 225 clean and jerk. As he's going through here, it's 9 seconds for the first rep, 10 seconds for the second rep, 10 seconds for the third rep, 10 seconds for the fourth rep, 11 seconds for the last rep. So just basically like, he's not looking at the clock knowing like what his rest time is, but just his natural built-in ready clock, or his feeling of readiness, basically happens at this weight around 10 seconds. So that's an interesting thing for me to watch. I could build progressions off of this if I want to get him better at barbell cycling. Put him on like an 8-second metronome and have him lift on the 8 seconds to get that comfort a little more, a little quicker. And then it's also good for athletes to know, like, maybe in your earlier stages of development, you could have your judge maybe give you a 15-second clock or an 18-second clock and basically keep yourself on some sort of a window, which somebody who's at the highest level of the sport just kind of does naturally. So he transitions 20 seconds to the muscle ups. He does all these muscle up sets unbroken, so 6 reps for him in the muscle up relative to the clean and jerk. Maybe not that big of a deal in terms of like total fatigue, but I do know the muscle ups got really tough for other athletes doing this workout. So the volume of chest to bars leading in and the pulling and just the overall strength just must get fatigued, which Travis is able to deal with. So 20-second transition, unbroken muscle ups, getting chalk. This transition here is 24 seconds as he goes back to the clean and jerks. And then you'll notice picks the bar up for his first rep at 5:18. And then he goes kind of back to this metronome style where he's on the 10 seconds. So it's 5:18, 5:28, 5:38, 5:48, 5:58, and then his last one he'll hit at 6:09. So that 1 second fall off for the last one. But that's a pretty cool thing to watch and observe. Maybe after just seeing that last rep, he dropped the bar a little bit too quick before showing full control. Those are like little things that you just got to be aware of. Like you go to a competition, a workout like this comes up. If it were a little heavier, the cost of each one of these reps is so high. You get a no rep, and that could literally be the difference between like, you know, being in a good position on the leaderboard and that extra 10 or 15 seconds, you could have 5 people pass you. So those are the little details that might matter for watching somebody like Trav. But for you, just make sure reps are locked out, reps are feeling good. You know what your rest time between is. If Trav's on a 10-second clock, his 1RM clean and jerk is 350. 225 is a pretty low percentage of that. You're basically going to have to go through some sort of a calculation in your head as to what do you think you can deal with when you create your pacing model. Do you want to do 225 deads in 2 sets and the chest to bars in 3 sets, get through all of those and kind of even pacing, then get to the clean and jerks and do them on a 20-second or a 30-second clock and build some sort of model for yourself like that. This transition here was 30 seconds, so he's slowing down a little bit relative to his first round. Some of that's probably normal, and some of that is probably, again, Trav just not being in like the maximal competitive mind state. He didn't have, in tttTD2, he had Chandler next to him racing. He's usually got an environment of people that are kind of pushing him. Here, he's kind of out in an island on his own, pushing like way ahead of the pack. So I think it's tough to kind of keep that sense of urgency when you know you're not getting pushed, no one's going to beat you in the workout. So I think some of that probably plays in, factors a role for him as well. But knowing rest times are probably going to extend out a little bit. So after that unbroken set, 27-second transition, back to the clean and jerks for the final set. And you'll notice here he's on a pretty good pace again. He's 10-second on a 10-second clock, on a 7-second clock, on a 10-second clock, then on a 13-second clock, and then on a 10-second clock. So he finishes these clean and jerks in almost every set on an average of about a 10-second window. That's probably way out of the realm of possibility for most people. The clean and jerks definitely got a lot of people. There were people failing reps, failing the jerks. So it's something that you're probably not going to be able to mimic in terms of being on that clock, but it's something that you can use as a principle from watching somebody at the highest level. If they can do it on a clock that basically their fatigue is basically on a metronome, then you figure out like, okay, how do I start that for myself? Do I start with a 30-second clock? Do I lower it to a weight that I can do on a 10-second clock? And you figure out for yourself what's the best strategy to execute on the workout. Then he's headed to his muscle ups, last round. 25-second transition here, and then he kicks up, does his last set of muscle ups. I think his finish time is, well, I'm not going to tell you. You'll see his finish time when he comes through the finish line. So 1, 2,
buckle my shoe.
3, 4, 5, 6, and he's done 9:02. All right, so Trav finished. You have his his round times for the first portion of the workout. You have his paces for what he's hitting the clean and jerks. You know he's unbroken. You have his transition times. On the left-hand side is Alye Deroma, who's doing the workout with Travis and with the whole training group. She's going to finish the workout out, and Brandon, who coaches her, is going to commentary the rest of it for anybody that's watching that wants to model themselves off of her execution of the workout.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Brandon!
Welcome!
I'm quickly transitioning with Max right now. So Allie's on her second round of clean and jerk. So the way that she set this workout up, we talked about it beforehand, how she was going to pace. She did 9.6 on the deadlifts. She's pretty good at pulling off the ground, but her gymnastics are not a strength, although she has really improved over the last couple of years. So the way that she did it, 9.6 on the deadlifts, quick transition to the pull-up bar, and then she did 6.54 on her chest to bars. And basically that break is just kind of calm herself down, make sure that she hits all of her chest to bars unbroken. Chris is fixing my mic down here. Okay. Sorry if that sounded funny for everybody. And then the last round of chest to bars, she went 6.5 and then 2.2. She said that one of the limitations she had was her grip just blowing up from probably the bigger sets of deadlifts. And she's been doing a ton of gymnastics work over the last couple of weeks, too. She went through the Granite Games qualifiers and now is prepping for the Granite Games on team. They finished 4th in the qualifier. So that's where most of her training is. So she had a little bit of forearm soreness before the workout. So here's the thing. You'll notice, and this is something that everybody can learn from, that even on you watch Travis's rounds of clean and jerks, those are slower than what Travis would typically do if you just said, hey, do 10 clean and jerks at 225 for time or 20 for time or whatever it is. There is some residual fatigue from the deadlifts. That doesn't mean that you should just overpace the deadlifts and then start your next 3 rounds at 10 minutes and then hope that you can just fly through it. But you've got to keep that in mind when you do this workout. One of the things that I tell all of my athletes to do, though, is during their transitions, which she's going over to the rings right now, and she did a pretty good job on the chest to bars and the deadlifts, but not so good on the muscle-ups. And part of that is because she's not as proficient at the muscle-ups as maybe some other female athletes are. But what I want people to do is get over to the rings or get back to the barbell and do your first set. So here's a quick example. I don't have her split times because Max was hogging the computer, but he was just talking about Travis, and his split times on some of his transitions were 30 seconds to get back to the rings or to come back to the barbell. What if you just said, I'm going to go up there and instead of doing a set of 6 unbroken ring muscle-ups, I'm going to jog over to the rings and do a set of 3 as fast as I can, and then take a 10 or 15 second break and then do another set of 3. You have a net gain of 10 seconds. So in these kind of workouts, I'm thinking about, like, what's the separation value? Like, where can we separate our athletes from the field? And a lot of times it's not really capacity on certain things. It's more about how you pace. And so for something like this, if you know that you can do a set of 3 with a quick transition, it's going to almost always be faster to do a set of 3 than to wait and then try to do an unbroken set. You get into a nice rhythm. You can always start quick and then slow yourself down if you feel like, oh, I can't do a set of 6 unbroken muscle-ups or whatever it may be. The same thing with the clean and jerks. The respiration rate's really high coming off the deadlifts and the chest to bars, but once you come back to the barbell, you can go ahead and just do one quick set or one single on the clean and jerks and then calm yourself down. So that's what we talked about before the workout, is like, hey, get back over to the rings as fast as you can and just do a quick set of 2. This was her plan the entire time, is 2 muscle-ups, drop, 2 muscle-ups, drop, 2 muscle-ups. Her max set unbroken is 8. So in a workout like this where she already did 45 chest bars, we thought it was wise to make sure that she was breaking them up and not even trying like a 3-3 or 4-2 on the first set. And we knew the female weight here is 165 on the clean and jerk. So technically a little bit heavier than it typically is. You know, usually it's 225, 155. Her max power clean is 205. Her max squat clean is 225. So we knew that, again, that just the residual fatigue from the deadlifts was going to be a little bit challenging. So one of the things I said is just make sure that you take your time, treat each pull like a 1 rep max pull. The jerks, no issue for her, obviously, as you can see. A couple of them get sloppy, I think just shoulder fatigue from the gymnastics. But overall, I thought she did a pretty good job handling the barbell. But again, if you know that clean and jerks, you're going to have to rest 20 or 30 seconds between, you've got to bank some time on the first couple of rounds here to be able to finish this workout. So she knows this is her last round. She has a minute left. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear the audio, but I'm in the background basically trying to tell her to get back on the bar. One of the things I had athletes do that were on site, and this is kind of a psychological advantage, I think, is think of your sets as like cluster sets. So what I was telling her is, hey, do 1.1 and then take a longer break, and then 1.1 and then take a longer break, and then 1.1 to finish out. It just gets you back on the barbell a little bit faster instead of what happens is we kind of have these like lingering breaks where we do a rep and then we step back and we kind of walk around or back and forth for a couple seconds, and then that ends up being a 20 or 30 second break. When if we just did 1.1 with a really short 5-second break, it allows us to kind of get back on the bar a little bit quicker. So she's finishing up. I think she finished 5 reps here. Couple seconds left. A little forward on the last jerk, but overall, pretty good job executing on that workout. Again, I mean, muscle ups are going to be a big limitation, but I think she handled it well.